I'm Debbie. She's probably having a great time. Doesn't want
The voice.
Well, I'm forever on the phone, so. My name's Renee Kasnowski. I own Crown Insurance Agency. We're right up the road in Riverdale. I used to be an Allstate agent for 8 years, and before that, I worked for State Farm for 15. So I've done claims, I've done underwriting. I know exactly what's going to happen when anything happens. The reason why I'm here today is to talk to you about flood. I'm only going to discuss what actually affects you. You know, because you don't need to know like some of the other crap that's going on, and I'm not going to bother you with it. What happened is Brigate Waters came into effect in October. Totally screwed everything up for flood because they based everything by elevation. The people in California, the two senators that actually put it on, which were two women, which I'm like makes them just look stupid, didn't take into consideration that people have basements, and that the state of Louisiana is below sea level. So Louisiana's flood insurance prices went to $50,000 for $75,000 worth of coverage for a year. Now who's going to pay that? Nobody. So Brigate Waters, it took them a while, but they repealed part of it. So what happens is now, you know, you're going to see house prices in the flood zone actually go up because the flood insurance isn't as high, and private flood came into effect on November 1st by Lloyd's in response to Brigate Waters because nobody was going to pay that much money for flood insurance. So the thing that's left behind with Brigate Waters that you have to remember is if somebody has a commercial property, if they have a rental property, Brigate Waters still applies.
Now, Brigate Waters is the law?
Brigate Waters is the law, and the two senators that made it, one was named Brigate, she no longer got elected, and the other one is Waters.
They're underwater. They're underwater. So they proposed it.
They proposed it, they got it passed, and
Congress.
No, you said rental.
rental properties still fall under Brigate
Waters.
Waters.
So the owner, if they rent the property, has to pay
Extra.
Brigate Waters. Okay.
Yes, and what happens is they get rate increases for 25%, or if it's a commercial property, it's 25% rate increases.
Wow.
Private flood, and they're still working on the rates. So FEMA is still like up in the air and the rates are too high. Private flood, I actually put some of the rates in the book that I gave you for private flood. Private flood doesn't care whether they're commercial or they're residential, the rate's the same. Private flood right now is about $1,000 cheaper in the flood zone than regular FEMA flood insurance. Private flood offers a $1,000 deductible and a $5,000 deductible. It's backed by Lloyd's. Out of all the private flood policies that I've written, last week was the first time that one mortgage company would not take it.
Wow,
It was an FHA mortgage.
that's why.
No, I've had other ones that go through. This is just the company would not take it. So the person had to pay $1,000 more for flood insurance, and the deal almost got.
Let me back up a little bit because I'm
Sure.
gonna get a little personal here.
Sure.
Obviously, we're in a flood zone here.
Yeah, I live in a flood zone too,
Yeah.
so I always make sure I know the most up-to-date information.
So I'm a commercial property.
You're gonna get a 25%
Well,
increase.
I did renew, okay, this past year, May or March, whatever it was, and it didn't go up all that much, I have to tell you. I think I went from 5,000 to 6,000,
Okay.
all right? But I do get my insurance directly from FEMA because I've had 5 claims.
So you're a repetitive loss property.
Right.
So you would not qualify, you have to go 10 years without a claim in order to get out of repetitive loss. Private insurance, and I put the rules in here also, private insurance will not take any repetitive loss property.
Of course not. Why would they ever take a risk?
Well,
Okay.
private flood will take one flood claim every 5 years. So if you flooded in Irene, which is the majority of the area around
Right.
here, but you didn't flood since 1984, you can go to private flood.
All right.
FEMA allowed, if somebody's selling a house, FEMA allowed you to grandfather now. So if you have somebody, like I have a lady 3 houses down, I insure, she pays $400 for flood insurance because she's had that property since like 1957,
Right.
and somebody else can take it over. But that person who takes it over, if they use her house as a rental property, they're gonna get the 25% increase until they reach whatever FEMA's rate is, because that's up in the air.
Right.
If the the person who buys it uses it as a primary residence, then the 25% rate increase doesn't apply. They just
Really?
get, yes, they just get to you, but you have to prove residency. So FEMA's, I'll answer your question in a second. FEMA's thing for proving residency is they want your license, you know, to show that address. So if you have a shore property, I say, you know, one person's gotta either have a license down the shore, voter's registration, or where your kids go to school. Or all three.
Or.
Or.
That's not bad.
One of, you gotta do one of the three.
That's okay.
They probably could change that if they get too many people going,
Have a
I use my
license."
voter registration, you know? I mean, but right now, they are checking to see if it's a primary residence. So when the policies renew, they make you prove that it's your primary residence. If you do not give them evidence of primary residence, you will get the 25% increase, or that person would. If you go to a property and you want somebody else to take it over, depending on who's gonna take it over, Selective wants 2 years of prior deck sheets, which if you had previous flood insurance, that'll work. Harleysville doesn't care. I did a study in the village, you know, when it flooded, to see who handled the claims the best, and it was Harleysville and Selective.
Really? Selective is good. I've
So-
tried it.
That's who I
And that's who
actually
you
write
use.
flood insurance with, is Harleysville and Selective, because I was an Allstate agent, I argue with them every day, they suck at flood claims. And I'll be the first one to tell you.
Both
If
those
Pat
companies you
said
work
that
with
she
suck.
made 5 claims over this, whatever, and therefore her.
She's a repetitive loss.
How about a house in the village that
If
made the 3
two and-
claims in the 1 year?
Your repetitive loss, if you're repetitive loss, your policy begins with RL. And you go for NFIP direct flood facility, and there is no change in your rate, and I can't get you
What is
out.
repetitive loss, how many can you go to?
2 and 3,
2 and 3.
yeah,
So 2 and 3.
2 losses in 3 years?
yep.
So
And
we have to go how many
they-
years? 10?
You gotta go 10 to get out.
And then what would it be for a new owner in the village?
In a repetitive
Hazardous-
loss?
In a repetitive loss for the new owner. About, I'm giving you an idea, because it's.
All right. You can take over the old repetitive loss property, which is what I sincerely say you should do. Or you can go to NFIP Direct with their rates. If you give them, like I told people, do not give them the elevation certificate, because depending where you are, like Voorhees got hit really bad. And depending where you are, I've run the rates, on Voorhees for repetitive loss. And the rate goes, like, say you're paying $3,500, the rate goes to like 7,000.
They're paying
Wow.
2,300.
Yeah, so what you wanna do, but now that they don't open that, they're opening the gates, so nobody's flooding, did you notice that? It's
Yeah.
raining a lot, nobody's
Yes.
flooding, but, you know, the Department of Engineering says, no, that doesn't have anything to do with it.
Yeah.
So if they go 10 years, so you figure Irene was 2011, they can go 10 years, they can get out. If they rent the property, the 25% automatically, because a lot of people left and they're renting the properties, so they get the 25%, there's no way to stop it.
But right now, if somebody has $2,300 insurance
The new
a
person that
year
comes in can take over the new
versus
23.
For 23, they can.
But they,
Even with the repetitive loss.
yes, but repetitive loss properties will get a 25% rate increase. So,
Over the 2,300, that's what I asked you.
yes,
Okay,
so
so
what,
it's
you
2,300.
do 2,300, then when you come up for renewal, you're gonna get an additional 25. You're gonna keep getting the 25 until they say that you have the rate that they have. If you give FEMA an elevation certificate,
Right.
they will slam you so hard. They say that the most that they'll increase you is 18%,
Yeah.
but they do an overall 18%. So it's kind of like an insurance company saying that we're gonna take a rate increase for 6.9%, because at 7%, we have to notify all our policyholders. So we always say 6.9. But what happens is, I give you a rate reduction of 2% because your area doesn't really have claims. I nail somebody else for 25% because I can't stand that area. You know what I mean? But overall, I'm at 6.9, so I don't have to notify you. So FEMA, when they're doing an 18% overall, I've had somebody where they increased them 50%, you know what I mean? They're like, but it's only supposed to be 25. I'm like, no, you gotta.
It's an average.
It's an average.
So they have to use the same insurance company, and then they'll stay at the 23 and increase 25%?
They don't have to use the same